I think that it's important that our campus is a community where everybody feels safe and loved and welcomed and embraced to be exactly who they are and who they want to be. Gender-inclusive housing, well, it can look different depending on what school and campus you're going to, but basically gender-inclusive housing is housing that is provided for students regardless of their gender. It pretty much takes gender out of the equation, saying that like most room assignments are based off of like sex at birth. So gender-inclusive housing is like, no, we're gonna base it off of gender. So you might have a co-ed. I know that there's some schools that have like non-binary rooms specifically. So it can look different depending on what campus.
And I know here at Grandview, the LGBTQA community continues to grow in size. How will this benefit them?
This will create safer housing opportunities for students. It'll help them feel more comfortable in themselves. It's also going to help non-queer students, because if you're not if somebody wasn't comfortable with having me as a roommate because I'm queer and non-binary, I wouldn't want to be their roommate either. So it's going to be better for everybody.
If any, what are some of the negatives of this?
Well, I've been told that some of the Czech writing alumni don't enjoy gender-inclusive housing, but I can't think of any negatives off the top of my head. There is the potential that if there ever was like a specific like LGBTQ floor, those have been targeted sometimes at other campuses. So it's really important that Grandview keeps in mind that gender-inclusive housing is an ongoing conversation and topic that needs to be consistently reflected upon, so that way if things like that do start happening, that they can adjust as necessary for safety.
So what are some other things that can happen along the campus to further accessibility towards LGBTQA folk?
Well, another thing that happened actually last year on our campus in 2023 was the personal identity policy. So the personal identity policy allows for incoming students and current students to change their email address name. You can change the names that you have on like Blackboard and my GVU, and it also allows you to share your pronouns.
Before the gender-inclusive housing came into effect, what was the policy beforehand regarding these issues and events?
To my knowledge, there wasn't really a policy. I also should clarify, I don't live in the dorms on campus, but I have talked to many different students, including past students that have already graduated and current students. To my knowledge, people would work individually with Robbie to see what they could do, just to see what the best situation and scenario would be for them. So I've heard very pleasant, positive things, but it's better to have an all-encompassing policy so that way it doesn't show any sort of like favoritism, or maybe people that aren't comfortable speaking to somebody in a one-on-one setting like that have the opportunity to also have gender-inclusive housing. It's really good to just have a little blanket check mark, so then that way even allies can say, yeah, I'm cool having like a trans roommate.